This story is based on the true experience lived by Giuliano Toniolo, a well-versed Brazilian bushcrafter and survivalist. In Toniolo's entire life in the wilderness, decades of backcountry traverses, survival situations, and encounters with the unknown, this is one of only 2 experiences he has never been able to explain. He hasn't ruled anything out. Neither have I.
I am not the kind of person who believes in things that can't be explained. I've spent decades in the wild. I know what animals do in the dark. I know what wind sounds like against a tarp, what fire looks like from 100 different distances. I know what a flashlight looks like. What I saw that night was not a flashlight. And to this day, after a lifetime of rational explanations for everything I've ever encountered in the wilderness, I still don't have one for this case. I'm a bushcrafter and survivalist from Brazil, born in the colonial city of Ouro Preto in the state of Minas Gerais. For the past many years, I've made my home in the Cipó mountain range region, a place most people outside Brazil have never heard of. And that's exactly why I love it. It's not the dense, tangled Atlantic forest that covers much of southern Brazil. It's nothing like the Amazon. The Cipó mountain range is something entirely different. Open highlands, dramatic rocky formations, scrubland that stretches toward the mountains like a Brazilian version of the Scottish Highlands, only higher, wilder, and far, far quieter. For years, a friend and I had a tradition. Every January 2nd, we would begin a multi-day traverse, a route called The Crossing, from La Pinha da Serra city to the Tabuleiro mountain range. Anywhere from 5 to 10 days in the backcountry, depending on what we'd planned. No crowds, no cell signal, no noise from the outside world. We chose January on purpose. It's the rainy season. High humidity, sudden storms, unpredictable weather. Definitely the worst possible time to make that traverse. That's exactly why we went. The story I'm about to tell you happened around 15 years ago, give or take, 2010, maybe 2011. I've had 2 unexplained experiences in my entire life in the wilderness. This is one of them. We started the trail, my friend and I, full packs, heading deeper into the highlands. The objective for that first day was to reach the Parauninha River and make camp on its bank. The Parauninha, at that particular point, bends in a U-shape. You cross at the lowest point of the bend, at the belly of the U, and you can get across with water up to your waist, maybe a little higher. We made the crossing exactly like that. Backpacks held up, water chest high in places. We could have gone around the arms of the U and crossed at ankle depth. Well, we were already soaked from the trail, so we went straight through. We set up camp on the far bank, 2 tents, a simple black tarp stretched out flat for cooking underneath, just a camp stove and a pot of pasta. We'd been walking all day in wet gear. Nobody was staying up late. And then, on the opposite bank of the river, a light appeared. Blue. Not white blue, not the pale, flickering blue of a gas flame. A deep, pure, steady blue, roughly oval in shape, approximately the size of a smartphone screen. It sat completely still on the opposite bank, maybe 30 feet away from where we were standing. My first thought, and I want to be clear about this because it matters, my first thought was, there's a person over there. When you're deep in the backcountry at night and you see a light, your brain goes to the most rational explanation first. Someone else camping. A hiker who came from a different direction, maybe in trouble, I don't know. So I called out, "Hey, everything okay over there?" You need any help? Silence. The light didn't move, didn't flicker, didn't respond. Hey, friend, you all right? You need anything? Nothing. I turned to my friend. Something's off, I said. He suggested it might be another camper. I reminded him we'd crossed the only accessible ford just hours earlier. There was no sign of any human passage on either bank. No tent, no gear, no tracks, no smell of smoke or food. And January, I'll say it again, is the worst time to make that traverse. There are no other hikers out there. We were alone. My brain shifted. If that light was being used as a decoy, as bait to hold our attention while someone crossed the river through the arms of the U, flanking us, we needed to move now. We didn't have firearms. We had machetes and fixed-blade knives, standard kit for that kind of backcountry. We were both wearing camouflage clothing by habit. I positioned my friend in cover near the camp, watching the light. I moved to the far end of the trail, to the point where anyone coming around either arm of the river bend would have to pass. And I waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Nobody came. I went back to my friend. He hadn't moved, and the light was still there, in exactly the same spot, perfectly still.
If this story is the kind of thing that keeps you awake at night, hit that like button and subscribe to Curious People Archive.
And before anyone asks, this was 2010, 2011. The kind of technology in my pocket was a Nokia, a basic phone, not even a smartphone. There were no GPS-tracked, camera-equipped quadcopters silently gliding over Brazilian river crossings at 9 o'clock at night in the rainy season. And even if there were, a drone has rotors. Rotors make noise. Every drone carries navigation lights, green on one side, red on the other. Standard aviation protocol. We would have heard it. We would have seen those lights. It came toward us. The bank on our side of the river was about 5 to 6 feet higher than the opposite bank. As the light cleared the water, it began to gain altitude, smoothly, continuously, compensating for the elevation change as it approached. My friend and I were standing under a tree. The trees of the Cerrado highland aren't like the towering canopy of the Amazon or the Atlantic forest. They're low, gnarled, windswept, 10, maybe 13 feet tall at most. The light reached us. It was now directly above, close enough to touch if I'd stretched my arm up. And then, it did something I have never seen any natural or artificial light source do. It began to spiral. The first rotation was wide. The leaves lit up. Every single one, all at once. A cold, clean blue. And then, it was gone. No sound, no flash, no smell, no residue on the leaves, no sudden darkness. We didn't realize how little light it had been casting until it disappeared and nothing changed. Just gone. My friend and I looked at each other. "Yep," I said, "that'll do it for tonight." We didn't talk about it, not right then. There's a discipline that comes with years in the backcountry, a kind of mental sharpness you have to maintain. You saw something. You don't know what it was. You're in the middle of nowhere, you can't leave, and whatever it was has apparently chosen to disappear rather than engage. So you go to bed. I went into my tent with my machete. The exhaustion from a full day of hiking in wet gear did most of the work. I don't remember when I fell asleep. In the years since, I've thought about that night more times than I can count. And I've arrived at the explanation that seems closest to something real, though I hold it loosely. It could be a ball lightning. It's a real atmospheric phenomenon, rare, still poorly understood by science, but documented. There are accounts of ball lightning entering aircraft cockpits. There's a famous 19th century report from a Russian Tsar whose palace was entered by a glowing sphere. Pilots, soldiers, farmers, people with no reason to fabricate have described objects with almost identical characteristics: oval or spherical, self-luminous, moving with strange independence from wind and gravity, disappearing without a trace. Could it be ball lightning? Yes, and I hope it is. But here's what I can't resolve, the thing that stays with me when I think about that night on the Parauninha. That light could have gone anywhere, up, down, downstream, back across the river, into the open highland, a million different directions in an open wilderness at night. It came to us, and it disappeared, not randomly, not in open air, but directly above our heads, inside the canopy of the exact tree we were standing under. Everyone I've spoken to who has had an experience like this says the same thing. Whatever the phenomenon is, atmospheric, electromagnetic, something we don't have instruments to measure yet, it seems to respond to presence, not to the person, exactly, but to the fact of being watched, as if it knew we were there. Maybe there are phenomena in this world that our five senses simply aren't equipped to categorize. Not supernatural, not impossible, just beyond the instruments we currently have for perceiving reality. The way radio waves existed long before anyone knew how to detect them. The way bacteria were real long before the microscope. Something was in the air that night above the Parauninha River, something blue and oval and silent that moved against every physical law governing water and wind and gravity. Something that knew exactly where we were standing.